Welcome back to another episode of Asian Vision Dialogue. Today, I have a very honorable guest with me. Could you perhaps introduce yourself to our audience?
So hello everyone, my name is Sou Sathiakvatey and currently I am a Year 4 student, a senior student at the Institute for International Study and Public Policy or IISPP, and I am majoring in international relations.
Yes, thank you so much for your introduction. Today is a very special topic regarding I all field as well, which is economic sanction, the U.S. or the United States of America and North Korea. So as many tension has already been increasing, especially due to the nuclear testings, no missile testing. Apologies. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So. To be a preamble to our discussion, could you perhaps tell us of our audience about what is economic sanction, why do different nations use it, and in what circumstance?
Okay, so before I start, let me put a note there that I am not an expert in economic sanction. However, I'm just going to answer my best as what I've learned, what I've read, and what I've researched. So, economic sanction, the simple definition is that it is an economic tool used by states or entities like the international organization, like the UN, to put pressure on another entity, which can be an individual, another state, or another organization, to um, basically to achieve its goals, which can range from political goal, economic goal, or security goals from the coercer, from the one that put the sanction. And economic sanction can range from being broad, such as trade limitation, financial restriction, to more specific, such as freezing asset of an individual or many other things that basically it's to limit the, the economy of the target state or the target entity. And usually states that they do or they impose economic sanction, usually they want to punish those aggressive actors or uh, to show the world that they're committed to having to making the world a better place, or to stop the aggression of the actors, such as those actors that are proliferating nuclear weapon, or they are aggressive in their behavior toward other states, or they pose security risk to other states, or some countries that have human right violation, they also put economic sanction to make the target state to stop their wrongdoing as well.
Yes, thank you so much for your explanation. The definition of economic sanction, of course, is very much vary. However, but what we can agree is that it is employed by different actors around the world, different state, different institution in order to want to change a policy of an aggressive, of what we call an aggressive actor, or do anything that is to deter any action from happening, for example, or to
Yes.
make them change something. Yes, of course. So of course, we can see that the U.S. imposed economic sanction on North Korea a lot. However, but before we jump right into this topic and discuss in more detail, could you perhaps give us a little bit of an overview, a brief overview about the diplomatic relation between North Korea and the U.S.?
Okay, so the United States is and North Korea, or the DPRK, that's the official name. The United States and North Korea do not have any official diplomatic relation. But what the United States policy uh, goal is that they want to ensure peace and prosperity in the Korean Peninsula, and they are pursuing the complete denuclearization of the region. And actually, I can say that the United States and North Korea are quite hostile with each other. There have been historical evidences of them being hostile and having tension with one another. So the United States actually first imposed its economic sanction on North Korea in 1950
Mm.
during the Korean War. That was when the sanction was based on the 1949 U.S. Export Control Act, in which they limit the export to North Korea or to other Soviet bloc nation, and those include strategic materials or that can aid them in conflict. Can say that, and the tension between them two, I could say, escalated more when the North Korea started creating its own missile and nuclear weapons, and even though there were some, uh, let's say, negotiations or uh, some like communication channels between them, like the agreed framework or the six-party talk, those all failed in stopping North Korea from making more nuclear weapons, and also the two countries, let's say that they were trying during Trump administration. The two leaders met, like Kim Jong Un and Donald Trump, met multiple times to discuss about their relationship and what for the nuclear program of North Korea, but it all ended up in failure, and even the past negotiation also failed. And even during the Biden administration right now, they're trying their best to open communication with North Korea and having like a diplomatic channel. However, North Korea side, they don't respond. So we can only see how much what the future can bring to North Korea and the United States. See if there's any improvement in their diplomatic relation. But for now, I can say that um, they're just the same, like hostile, and there's some tension and not much engagement to improve the ties between the two countries at all.
Yes, I definitely agree. Regarding the diplomatic relation between the two countries is further complicated by South Korea and Japan. I feel personally because the missile testing, of course, made a security threat to Japan and South Korea, which is of course a ally, an East Asian's ally country of the United States. So of course the complication to the ally because Japan is obviously under the security umbrella of the US, so it's create even more tension, and hopefully the only thing that we can look forward to is hopefully in the future there will be a diplomatic relation and communication channel between the two countries once again.
Yes.
So now to get into detail in our discussion regarding the relation between the how the U.S. Implemented economic sanction on South Korea. So
North Korea.
North Korea, apologies, North Korea, not to confuse between the two. Yes. So what are the primary objective of economic sanction that imposed by the U.S. on North Korea?
Okay, so we can say that one of the main objective of imposing sanctions on the DPLK is that the United States wants a complete denuclearization. So basically, stopping North Korea from making any more missiles or nuclear weapons, and that is the main objective, and it has been stated in the official website of the United States Department of State as well. So a complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, which means North Korea don't have any more nuclear weapons. And one more thing is that I believe, even though this reason seems small to comparing to the denuclearization, the United States may want to stop North Korea from doing illegal stuff like trafficking or money laundering and counterfeiting. So when imposing sanctions, the United States want to limit the resources used to do those illegal activities, which those activities generate revenues for the regime survival for North Korea. And one more thing, I think that it's about human right violation. So the United States can link those sanctions and the denuclearization to stopping the violation of North Korea on human rights. Yeah.
Yes, the complete nuclearization, and do you think that it can lead, one of the objective is to reunification with North South Korea?
I personally,
Yeah.
from personally, okay,
Yes.
uh, I don't think that it can. Even if North Korea denuclearized, I do not think that North Korea and South Korea can reunify because the two countries are contrastingly different.
Hmm.
One is a democratic and one is like a dictator or authoritarian government, and
Hmm.
even the regime, everything is different. So I do not think that there's gonna be a reunification between the two sooner. I just don't think it won't happen. It
Yes.
it won't happen.
Yes, thank you so much for your explanation and your opinion as well, regarding the clear objective that the US has been set. So now let's get into more detail of our discussion. So what kind of economic sanction does the US impose on North Korea?
Thank you, Peter. I think I've mentioned already about some elements of economic sanction, which can include trade restriction, right? So,
Yes.
the United States imposed export ban and import ban on North Korea. So, export ban means that they cannot, uh, the United States cannot like export like strategic or like weapons to North Korea, and then import ban means that they don't accept the import of North Korean products such as seafood, iron, textile, or luxury goods, and all that. And then financial restriction as well. So, like I said, freezing the assets of the individual or the elites that are involved in the proliferation of nuclear weapons, and also they cannot. The North Korean can like the North Korean bank cannot um, let's say do business with other international banks that are within the dollarized system of the United States. And for aid, North Korea is like banned, like they cannot receive foreign aids or foreign direct loans or guarantee from the United States as well. Even though they can receive humanitarian aid such as like medical supplies and um, food, to help the well-being of the people. And arms sales and arms transfer is also prohibited. And yeah, that's all about the uh, sanctions imposed.
Mm.
Like these are the main thing. There are also something about money laundering and counterfeiting as well. So like the Bank of like there's some speculation, not speculation, but like evidences of the bank in Macau, based in Macau, that do those illegal things. And yeah, so the United States imposed those sanctions on the bank to like know about the report or the transactions, which made um, many businesses pulled out from doing businesses with North Korea. And yeah, I think that's it. Like you can probably, if for those that want to know more, you can go to look in the United States official website,
Hmm.
in which they list more detailed sanctions on North Korea and also on the North Korean individuals as well.
I mean, what more can you do, right?
Yeah, like
Almost every aspect of an economy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like the like the sanction here, it's like kind of broad and also
Yeah.
kind of specific as well, because um, they impose it on the whole country, like the whole government, and also
Mm.
they impose on specific persons, specific individual as well. So
Yes.
yeah, if any viewers want to look more toward this, I suggest you can go for the website, the United States Department website. They have a lot of information of that.
Yes, of course, of course. So now that we get an overview, a clearer detail of what the mechanism of economic sanction that the US has imposed on North Korea. So what kind of impacts of the economic sanction in North Korea? And do you think that it is effective for the US? Does its use of economic sanction fulfill its objective? In your
Okay,
opinion?
thank you, Pirat. So, for the impact, I would say I would divide it into three:
Mm.
economic impact, political impact and societal impact. So for the economic impact, of course, economic sanction is used to exert economic pressure on the target state, and like there's no doubt there's gonna be some economic, let's say, impacts, right?
Yes.
So from what I have researched, it's that the North Korean economy is not growing fast. It means that it had a slow growth. There were low GDP as well, even though you need to be careful when using GDP to assess economy of such a centrally planned economy. Yeah, since GDP is more like of a Western concept for the democratic, more like democratic country, and like North Korea is different. It's more authoritarian and centrally planned economy. However, we can see that the people there, they're not living up to, let's say, their well-being is not that good. Let's say that they suffer from poverty. There's also economic inequality, and I believe that it can, by putting economic sanction on North Korea, it can discourage foreign direct investment into the countries as well, with fear of not being able to do business with the United States anymore, and like the export and import ban of North Korea, it cannot bring much revenue to help sustain the economy. Yeah, and yeah, I feel like that's there might be more, but like for now, that's all I can think of. Like the economic impact, people suffer mostly, not the elites, not the one that are officials in the country. And for the political impact, we can say for sure that the economic sanction is used to put diplomatic pressure on the state, right?
Yes.
To isolate them even more. And North Korea is one of the most isolated state in the world. So by putting economic sanction, it can isolate North Korea even more from the world. However, I feel like there's a saying that there's two sides to the same coin. Even though it is the economic sanction by the U.S. is used to put pressure on North Korea. Due to this, North Korea can leverage um, their, let's say, their advantage to help the regime survival. So they use sanction as a leverage to like uh, make their regime survive, and like they're more resilient in evading the sanction. They know more about the sanction evasion technique, and yeah, they can use that to make their regime survive, but not care about the people. Yeah, and I think that's it for the political implication. There may be more, but that's all I can think of for now.
Yes.
And then for the societal impact, as I've mentioned, it's clearly closely linked with the economic impact. So when the economy of a country is not doing so well, the well-being of people is not going to be that well too. Many people suffer from poverty. There's also human right violation as well. And I feel like this is closely linked with the political implications. So North Korea is, even though sanctions indirectly make human right violation worse in North Korea, the North Korean regime itself is actually using the sanction to as a leverage to like how can I say, to violate more human rights, like by having no freedom of movement, no freedom of speech, and all of that to make their regime survive. Not to make the people survive, but to make their regime survive more. And another thing, I think that this one is kind of interesting as well. So even though economic sanction, you can that the United States imposed on North Korea wants to stop the human right violation. There's actually some report saying that due to the sanction imposed, it made the humanitarian assistance to North Korea delay. So people have delayed access to medicines or medical supplies or food and all of that stuff as well. Yeah.
Yes. So not always an effective tool,
Yes.
and not always to get the result what you desire.
Yeah. So moving back to your question about being effective or not, I do not think
Yes.
so.
Mm.
You can say that even though it exerts economic pressure on North Korea, right?
Yes.
It made the economy slow down and all of that. It's not that effective because what we can see from this situation is that uh, North Korea does not change its behavior.
Mm.
There's very limited behavioral change and there's limited policy change. Um, Also, the regime uses the sanction as a tool of survival, right? So,
Yes.
economic sanction does not always work in this case.
Just it actually a very interesting part of your answer is that the idea of the regime strengthened
Mm,
because the people suffering and they can use the economic sanction as a excuse or as a cause for their suffering. So
mm,
it caused the dictatorship to be even stronger. That's a very
yes.
interesting effects of economic sanction. So this is the end of our show already. So the final question is, of course, since economic sanction does not always works and does not always has its successes, do you think what are the alternative strategy that the U.S. could use in order to better achieve its purpose of denuclearizations of North Korea?
Thank you, Peter. So, um, as we all know that
Hmm.
economic sanction is not always effective. I would say, for me personally, I would suggest the United States to still do the economic sanction, which means that they can still impose economic sanction on North Korea. However, they should try to minimize the risk of inflicting harm on the ordinary citizens and emphasize more on the targeted sanction, target the individual of
Hmm.
or the elites of North Korea that are involved in illegal activities, and moreover, they should try to have like open communication channel between North Korea, between Pyongyang and Washington.
Hmm.
Another alternative would be military intervention. However, I do not suggest the United States to do that because it could result in a greater loss and greater damage than um, pursuing diplomatic engagement and uh, imposing uh, economic sanction.
Yes.
So military intervention can be a choice for the United States. However, I don't think that they will opt for that option because the demerits outweigh the merits of the choice.
Yes, it's a high risk regarding anything that is military, and when the tension between country are that high, any action taken by one state can be seen as a very aggressive, out of line by another.
Yes.
So yes, the relation between the U.S. and North Korea are very complicated, and as we have discussed, the U.S. put extensive economic sanction on North Korea, but some are not very effective. And communication need to be open between the two countries in order for the suffering of the people, because that is the end of the day is about all about the people, right?
Yes.
So it's making sure that North Koreans people also are people as well. They are still suffering. Yes. So thank you so much for
Thank you,
joining
Peter.
in our episode, in our discussion regarding the U.S. economic sanction and North Korea. So thank you so much for to our audience as well in joining our discussion today. Hopefully we see each other in the next episode. Thank you.